Okay, what we're going to talk about today is Teflon tubing. If you have a cracked grommet, which this one doesn't have, but just as an example, say this next grommet here. See, I have all my mains, and I'm at this next grommet. Say this one's cracked, or even the one right next to it. What you can do is use Teflon tubing to keep the string from rubbing against the cracked grommet, or even the graphite, which is a little more extreme of a case. But to use the Teflon tubing, all you have to do is insert it into the grommet. Now, if the tubing doesn't fit, then you're going to have to stretch it. There's a lot of ways to stretch it, and I'll go over that. Okay, when you go to stretch out your tubing, you want to apply heat to it and pull. There's two ways to do it. The one that I prefer is to grab onto it pretty tight with a little bit outside of your hand and pull it through your hand. That's applying heat through friction, and it's also pulling it at the same time. And what this does is it stretches it all the way to the tip so that you can test it. Another way is to apply heat to it with an outside source. You wouldn't want to use a flame or a stove or anything like that. You want something that can move. So you use a heat gun or a blow dryer, just like a hair dryer, and have a moving heat. And you can do that while you're stretching it if you've got somebody to help you, or you can apply the heat, then stretch it, apply the heat, and then stretch it. Either way, whichever way that you use, what you want to do is test it periodically. You don't want to just stretch and stretch and stretch and stretch and stretch and then try it. You want it to just fit. The reason is if it's too small, the wall is going to be too thin, and it's going to lead to premature breakdown, because as you're stretching it, the inner wall that keeps the string from the broken grommet or the graphite of the frame is getting thinner and thinner as you stretch it out. So you don't want to do that. You want it to just fit. But after you get it to the right thickness, then you can move on. Okay, now that your tubing is stretched and it's thinned out and you know it fits, what you want to do is take it and run it through the grommet that's next to it. So this is the one with the crack. I'm going to have to go to the one next to it. Go out and then take it and put it back in. Now you want it to stick through the cracked grommet on this side here about 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch. So get it right where it's supposed to be, right? Keep it there when you pull the slack back through. Okay, what you're doing is you're sizing the tubing. You're finding out how much that you need. Okay, so pull it kind of snug. You don't want to pull it so that this end comes through. You just want to pull it kind of snug, so do it kind of slow. And then once you have it where you want it, cut it. And that's how much you're going to use, because you want it to stick through on both grommets. That's what's going to hold it in place. Now I already have a piece that I've cut for this section. And what you want to do is from the outside, put it in on one side, okay? And then take your string, your main here, and put it through the tubing. Okay. Now I'm going to tension it like that, okay, with it sticking out like that. You won't put it in the next one until the next tension. Okay, now that you've got it tensioned, and you can see how the tubing is in there, move it again so that it's 1/16 or 1/8 of an inch sticking out, and then go ahead and lace your next main. Okay, and what this is going to do is pull this tubing into the grommet next to it, and you're going to want to help it. Just guide it a little bit. Use your finger to push it in, okay, because the string's not going to do it all on its own. But once it's seated in there nice, go ahead and tension it. Okay. And what you're going to see, I don't know if you can see it very well, but the tubing has pulled through more on this side. That's just to show you that what you're going to want to do, and I'll undo it here real quick. What you're going to want to do is push the tubing through just a little bit more on the cracked grommet side, so that when the tension pulls, the tubing shifts into the right spot, because it's not going to stay right where you want it. It's going to start off and then slide into where you want it. Okay, so we'll do it again. Alright, and then move your clamp and tension. Now it's important that you size it before you go, but it's not the only way, it's just the safest way. What you could do is take too much on both sides and then trim it afterwards, but that risks you nicking the string. It's really not the most recommended way to do it. It's not safe, but if you get into to the habit of being safe about it or sizing it beforehand, you're fine. But if you really have to, it's possible. Just be really careful about it. But other than that, that's Teflon tubing. Thank you.